Welcome back. You're watching the India Development Debate. The Ministry of Education has issued a warning on edtech companies. They've advised parents and students to be careful for while opting for online content. They've cautioned against tutorials and coaching for competitive exams being offered by edtech companies. They've also suggested that parents do a detailed background check before going in for these companies, look at reviews, and avoid automatic debit options for payments of subscription fees. What exactly are the concerns? What is the ministry saying? Let me go across to my colleague Ganesh for more.
The Ministry of Education today has cautioned parents and students against the edtech platforms and have advised parents to go through the terms and conditions very carefully before applying or accepting any kind of services from these edtech platforms, may it be on the app or on the website. The ministry has further instructed parents to not to trust these ads blindly, and they should do a proper online research before applying for any of these services. Further, the ministry has suggested parents not to trust these tutorials because there have been many instances when the parents have been auto-debited and they have been charged the yearly or half-yearly fees without their acknowledgement. Apart from this, the ministry has cautioned parents to be very careful before downloading any kind of app, and they have instructed parents to first find out whether the app is authentic or not before applying for their service. However, this development has come at that time when we can see on social media that the many complaints against big tech, big apps, or maybe big websites that are involved in these edtech services.
All right, let me go across to Meeta Sengupta and Ganesh for more on this story. Great to have both of you on the show. Meeta Sengupta is an educational specialist. Ganesh, of course, is a serial promoter. Meeta, let me come to you first and just get a bit of context of why this warning of sorts has come from the Ministry of Education. There have been a lot of reports lately of how unsuspecting parents have gotten entrapped, quote unquote, by some of these edtech companies without realizing that they will be taking loans to pay these fees, or they will be, their monies will be auto-debited from their accounts. And what really their children are getting, some of them are being sold a dream that if they don't sign up for these courses, their children will be left behind. Is that the reason this kind of a warning has come?
Thank you. This actually is a very troubling issue for most of us, especially during the pandemic, when we know that schools are not able to deliver to the fullest of their capacity. And we really, as parents, we don't want to be left behind. We can't let our children be left behind when everything is picking up pace in the world. So we really desperately, as parents and as educators, we want to see our children progress. But that desperation is what can be exploited by fly-by-night operators or even long-term operators who are really out there to make a very quick buck for their own goals and for their own ends. And I think this manipulation that is happening and has been noticed in the market has really caused a huge amount of distress. And I call it, when I say manipulation, some of it seems to be clearly illegal, where financial loans, for example, have been given out and people do not know that they have signed up for financial loans. Now, this is something that the finance industry has watched out for the longest time, because in the finance industry, the small investor or the small loan taker is always protected far more than a professional investor is. And so these protections need to kick in, even when it seems to be attached to edtech. In terms of edtech also, again, it is incredibly unfair to pressurize parents who are only trying to do the best for their children, but are not necessarily equipped to even read these terms and conditions. I love the fact that the government suggests read the terms and conditions. But even many of us, when we download apps, we simply quickly click on, yes, we will. Because a large organization always has a greater capacity to create 25, 40, 100-page terms and conditions that you really do not have the capacity to read. At the same time, I will also say that there is some wonderful edtech work happening in the world, or rather technology for education happening. And so while the warning is valid, I think this should not be a generic let's go anti-technology in education over here. I think this is about us as parents recognizing that
Yeah, of
we
course, of
are
course.
purchasing.
It's
We are the ones who
yeah.
are in charge, and we are the ones who are giving them a chance
No,
to
I
see
think
what
it's
they can do
also
for us.
I think it's also about it's also about the conduct. It's also about the conduct of certain companies, which has been widely reported, which perhaps has alerted the Ministry of Education to come up with this. And K. Ganesh, I want you to comment on that. Where there have been allegations that companies are indulging in hard sell to people who don't really understand what they're signing up for. And this is also a global phenomenon in a sense. We've seen China crack down on its edtech companies recently. So how do you balance all of this, where at the end of the day, these companies need to show more and more subscribers and more children signing on?
So I think there are multiple aspects to this particular story. China, of course, cracking on edtech is for a different political reason, not necessarily because of this. But like you rightly said, even in US, right from online education, college loans, when it's funded by a loan, it's easy for a salesperson to get a consumer to sign up because there is a loan. They don't have to pay the money. And once they sign up, they become indebted and the company gets the money. So all of this has been fraud. This is not new. This has happened in the US 25 years back in online education when the government came up against this. So one, very clearly, because of the pandemic, the entire online edtech space has taken off like a rocket, whether it's tutorial, whether it is test prep, whether it is skills, whether it is that. So that has brought the focus completely to this. Earlier, before the pandemic, if you had to sign up for a tutorial, you will go to a physical center, you will do your homework, you will ask 10 parents, you will find out. But now, sitting at your home, you get bombarded by a salesperson and by an app or by a video call or an online message, and you click on it and you end up getting a loan and signing up. It has become so easy. Therefore, in this context, educating the consumer, especially the not so informed, not so literate consumer about the pitfalls is extremely important. The government is doing the right thing by warning. More and more of warnings and education and spreading the message and alerting people to potential frauds of various kinds is critical and important, and I'm very happy with that. But at the same time, our education system is archaic. It is out of tune with what is required today. The concept of work, workforce, skills needed has completely changed. And to meet to that demand, you require edtech. You require new ways of teaching. You require new courses, new curriculum. So this is completely critical. Now, you cannot brush everybody the same side. Obviously, there are horror stories of people being forced to sign up, getting into indebtedness, mis-selling. But tell me, this mis-selling and over-representation by salespeople has been going on again for centuries. I remember when I was growing up, I saw those TV ads of this multinational soap that said, "Filmi Staro ka Saundarya Sabun." Now, I kept on rubbing myself with that soap. My skin came off. I neither became a star nor became Saundarya. Okay, right? So therefore, this has been going on.
I get the point you're making. No, K. Ganesh. No, wait, 1 minute. Let me allow me to come in here, because you've made an interesting point in a humorous way, and I get the point you're making, but it's different. It's different than a soap claiming to make you fair, or a cream claiming to make you fair, which you buy for a few rupees and you rub it and you don't become, look like that star. This is about exploiting something that every Indian parent feels, no matter what level of society they are on, that they must do the best for their child. This is a country. No, K. Ganesh, that's not fair, because this is a country where a parent will forego a meal to get their child the best education, because we see it as the only way out of where we are in society. So it's not fair. So I'm saying the vulnerability is higher, and hence the responsibility.
No, no, I agree. I agree. No, no, absolutely. Therefore, it is very welcome to have all the
Yes.
caveats. The propensity for the Indian parent to spend on education is number 2 in India after a grocery. In the US, it is number 7. It comes after music and CDs. So, Indian parents' propensity, and we all know the reasons for that, because that is the only
Yes.
way out of poverty. There is no
Exactly.
social security system. I am what
No,
I
so
am
it
because of
comes
the
with a
education I had.
responsibility. Let me bring me. No, absolutely. It is every generation has seen parents do without what they need so that their children can get a better
Yeah.
education, so that they can do better in life. This is our path, and that is that emotion that is quote unquote being exploited by some. My question to you, Meeta Sengupta, is it enough then to just put out this warning? This warning should reach the people who are vulnerable right now, isn't it? Do we now need some kind of regulation or at least guidelines on what is the framework in which edtech companies function?
See, here is a balancing act now. This is a balancing act for government and a balancing act for regulators. Because the worst thing you can do is over-regulate something. In fact, over-regulation is what has, in a way, damaged the core education system of the country. But I completely accept the premise of your question where you say this much is not enough. It will not reach everybody, firstly, and this much is not enough. Now, the problem here is at 2 levels. One is the problem of mis-selling, and the other is the problem of fraud. The problem of mis-selling is a problem that is normally handled by advertising standards, for example, where you say you made XYZ claim in whichever way you reached out, whether you reached out via text message, WhatsApp, or whether it was a billboard. But you made a particular claim that you'll have this kind of teachers, your teachers will be able to deliver this, and so on and so forth, whatever claim you made. Now, that is a mis-selling issue, and I think there needs to be a regulatory framework around it. Not necessarily rules and regulations. Let's not overdo it. Let's not over-egg this cake, because that will cause more damage than good, especially for the new wonderful energy that is coming up in the edtech sector.
Yeah.
If you have an over-regulated sector, we will lose all the wonderful dynamism that has happened. And 2 billion have come into India just in edtech in this particular year. This is amazingly wonderful for all our students. And the second issue is that of fraud, of financial fraud, as Ganesh said. And this is an issue that is normally regulated by the financial services industry. Now, when education meets the financial services industry, we need to again find a compliance framework. No rule, not mega rules and regulations, but a compliance framework and a checklist where they self-certify and say, okay, these are our boundary conditions. We must not go beyond this, because in our eagerness to sell and our desperation to sell something, because we have to grow our own business. Otherwise, the VC will not do this. Or if we do not get so many people signed up, we do not have so many eyeballs on our app, then we will not be able to build the next or hire the next good teachers to write the next content. You see, even these businesses are stuck in a loop because they have become businesses. They are not only educators. They have become businesses. So when these business requirements need education, then we need to take the help of business support compliance strategies from advertising and from finance to create some sort of boundary conditions that protects the small people amongst us. And each of us is a normal small person who will benefit from a little bit of good suggestion or even a little pop-up saying, are you sure?
So this is a start. This is a start. No, this is interesting because the Ministry of Education has now taken cognizance of something that is going on. And again, this is not to say that edtech has not opened up opportunities for people that they earlier would never have had. You can literally sit anywhere in the country and have access to any kind of course, to the best possible education, which you didn't have earlier, and that is definitely a boon. But the unscrupulous elements within them need to be weeded out. Thank you so much, Meeta Sengupta and K. Ganesh, for joining us on this chat. We've absolutely run out of time this evening on the India Development Debate, but we'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then.